in iOS SwiftUI. In this CodeLab, we're going to follow the steps in this SwiftUI Essentials developer documentation, and we're going to build out this app from scratch. So let's get started. We're going to follow the steps here. So section 1 is create a project. So we are creating a project here. So this is our fresh project in Xcode with just a hello world. It's following the steps outlined here. Now it says save your project. So we've already done that. Now it says build the group of views, which is this view here. So to build this out, we need a vertical stack and we need a horizontal stack inside of that. So let's see how we can do that. So it says open content view.swift. We have that open. It says step 2, control click the control view, the content view section, and choose refactor rename. So we're going to do that. So control click refactor rename, and it selects all the places which has content view in it, and we're going to type meeting view in here, and we're going to click rename. So it seems that Xcode has a bug where it did not rename. It did rename this and this, but it did not rename this. So we have to do that manually. So now we renamed that manually, and I'm on Xcode 14.2. So if you see that bug, you could report the radar. So let's keep going. It says rename the previous structure to meeting view previous, so they're aware of this issue. Now replace the contents of the existing body with progress view. So in the existing body we have a hello world, and we're going to replace that with the progress view with a value of 5 and a total of 15. So let's do that. Progress view, value of 5, total 15. So now if you see this, we have this indicator here. And now let's switch back to the canvas. So it says step 5, command click progress view and choose embed in vstack. So we're going to command click the progress view and select embed in vstack. Now we can go to the next step, which is create. So it says here that stack group views horizontally, vertically, or back to front, and that's the Z stack. You can use stacks to combine and layer view components. So create an H stack in the code editor, and then click the library button and drag a text view inside the H stack with the value seconds elapsed. So we can create an H stack and have seconds elapsed inside of that. So let's do that. H stack text seconds elapsed. So that's done. Now we can keep going, and it says add another text view with the value seconds remaining. So we can add a text view with seconds remaining. So we can add seconds remaining here. Now we can keep going. So it says embed each text view in a vstack. So we can do the same technique of command clicking and saying embed in vstack. command click, embed in VStack. So now those two are in a VStack here. Add a label below the first view with a title of 300 and a system image of hourglass bottom half fill. So we're going to add this label with 300 and system image of hourglass bottom half fill. That's below the first text. So it's a label with 300 and a system image of hourglass bottom half fill. So that's what we get here. Now we can add a label below the second text view with a 600 title and a system image of hourglass top half fill. So let's do that. Label 600 system image of hourglass top half fill. And now we can keep going. So the next step is to add a spacer between each VStack to use the available space from the containing parent view. So we can add a spacer, and that gives us the space here between these two. So let's keep going. Add a leading alignment in the VStack surrounding seconds elapsed and a trailing alignment in the VStack surrounding seconds remaining. So we need two arguments here. We need a VStack with alignment leading, and we need a VStack with alignment trailing. So now we have those two. We can keep going. We can add a font caption modifier to the text views. So let's add that. And it's complaining here because we did not add this paren. So let's add that. Now we can add the font dot caption. So for this label, or actually for the text, we add a font with caption, and in this text we add a font modifier with the value caption. And next up, so that's a modifier. Each modifier returns a new view. You can use multiple modifiers on a single view. To chain modifiers, stack them vertically. Now that the header has the appropriate spacing, we'll create a placeholder for the circular timer view that appears in the center of the screen. So add a circle shape with a border as a placeholder. So we'll add the border here, and that's going to be inside the V stack but below the H stack. So let's do that. Inside the V stack but below the H stack. And it doesn't take any arguments. So it's got a modifier with a stroke border, and we should select the correct arguments here, which is line width of 24. So it's a circle with a stroke border and a line width of 24. So let's see if it's stroke border. There seems to be a typo here. Yeah, so we fixed the typo. We can hit refresh, and a line width, stroke border with a line width. Oh, it seems to be a typo here. So line width of 24, that gives us the circle. Now add an H stack with a text view that displays speaker 1 of 3. So we can add the H stack, which is this step, with a text view that displays speaker 1 of 3, which is this one. So that's this step. So we have the H stack. Now we can add a button that uses the forward.fill image as its label. A button with no action and a image with forward.fill. That's below the text inside the H stack. So button and has an action of nothing and a label or an image with a system name of forward.fill. And let's refresh that. Was a small typo, so we got this, the speaker, and this button here. Okay, so let's add a spacer between the text and the button. So that's going to be this spacer here. So let's do that, and that should space these out. Add padding to the top level VStack to bring the views in from the edges. So the top level VStack is this one, and we can add a padding of default, and that brings the views in from the edges. Okay, supplement accessibility data. So here we can add the accessibility data, and that's going to be the accessibility label time remaining. So let's do that. Add an accessibility label to the H stack. So this is the H stack, and we're going to add an accessibility label, and it's going to be accessibility element actually. Accessibility element, and it's going to have a value of children ignore. Add an accessibility label to the H stack, passing a meaningful name for the label. So the accessibility label is time remaining. So we can chain the modifier, and we can say accessibility label time remaining. Now the next step is add an accessibility value for the time remaining to the H stack. So add an accessibility value, and it's got a value of 10 minutes, and it says SwiftUI would otherwise infer the values of the child views automatically. Add an accessibility label to describe the forward button. So here it's asking about the accessibility label to describe the forward button. So let's do that. And the value is going to be next speaker. Using these 4 modifiers, we can enhance the accessibility experience for the user. Before we continue to the next lesson, take a moment to reflect on the progress we've made. We've used the basic building blocks to compose a prototype timer view, and we've made the accessibility experience more meaningful. You did this all in one lesson and about 40 lines of code, so that was quite nice. And there is a quiz here. We don't need to go into that, but we'll start the card view in the next part. So thanks for watching. We made this timer view or the meeting view, and see you in the next part.